A very good morning to all. uh, Today we have our speaker, Dr. Siddappa Setty from Ashoka Trust for Research in Ecology and Environment. So, Dr. Siddappa is a ethnobotanist, and he holds a PhD from University of Mysore. So, he's a very good friend of mine. We know each other for more than 10 years. So, from A3, I have many friends. So there is one striking difference between all other researcher and Siddappa in A3 is everybody else is a very good researcher. They all publish papers, like many papers every year in a reputed journals, and most of are working with related to environment and conservation. But in terms of Siddappa, he also publishes and he also gives back to the system, but in terms of improving the livelihood of local people, and changing the so we, for example, like as a freshwater biologist, I tell that it's this river is polluted and I stop there, and this river is clean, I stop there. But in case of Siddappa, he does that, and then he goes back and then try to clean the river. Likewise, he tried to change the livelihood of people, particularly Sholiga tribe, which is a very unique tribe located in part of Karnataka, southern part of Karnataka, where he trains them in terms of various forest related enterprises like honeybee collection, and then sustainable agriculture, and then using the forest resource very wisely, and even invasive species management. Like, for example, Lantana camera is a big problem. So he also trained them to make furnitures out of Lantana camera. Like that, he have trained more than 10,000 indigenous people using the forest resource in a sustainable manner. So so today he is here to share his experience as an entrepreneurship developmental scientist. So with this introduction, I leave the floor to Siddappa, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very honored to be on this floor, Dr. Karthik Bala. And so nice of you, wonderful, nice of you to speak to me, to inviting me to give a presentation. Thanks a lot for you, and also thanks a lot for Shilpa for our coordination as well. Thank you, one and all. It's a real honor. It's my great pleasure to share my experiences with you all. So as Karthik Bala said, so I've been doing quite a bit of research. I initiated my research work in 1994, 27 years back. I was doing quite a bit of research initially, and later, as Dr. Bala indicated, that I was very fascinated to work with the community. How closely you can work with community, how to engage them. They are all poor people. How can we help? How to take results of our research work back to the community, how to work with them, how to build their capacities. And also it's not like always giving back to them, and also it gives a lot of pleasure to learn from them as well, because they're born and brought up, they're living in the system. I understood from them that they know a lot actually. So I learned a lot from them as well. In that sense, it's like bridging both the traditional knowledge and scientific knowledge together, and you will get a wonder out of it. And that's what I've been doing for quite some time. And feel free to ask me any question, and see how it goes. And thank you very much for this opportunity to join me. And I'll be talking about the enterprise-based conservation model and sustainability, a lesson basically from Western Ghats. I've been working in this landscape from past 27 years, working very closely with the community on livelihood and conservation related issues, and have a couple of examples, live examples, what kind of interventions we had with the community, and how they reacted to it, and what we are able to achieve, and what are the challenges. That's what I'm going to share with you all. And from Ashoka Trust for Research in Ecology and Environment. Yeah, so you all know that the conservation and livelihood are interlinked. There's a law, that around 6 million people in India, they live inside the forest and also the fringes of the forest landscape. And protection of the forest landscapes, the beautiful landscape that we have in Western Ghats and also Eastern Himalayas, one of our biodiversity hotspots in the world, need to be conserved. At the same time, we need to enhance and take care of the livelihood of the community in order to achieve the sustainable development goals. That's a basic, the idea. And you all know that the environment issues, the biodiversity conservation, sustainability, pollutions are like, are interlinked with the developmental issues like a livelihood, human health, social justice, and democratic governance and related issues. In that sense, you basically have to address both the issues in order to achieve sustainable development goal. That's what we've been thinking, and we are been putting effort to achieve these goals through Ashoka Trust for Research in Ecology and Environment. And firstly, what is poverty? This the poverty is basically there are people, as I said, around 6 to 7 million people live inside the forest and outside the forest, and they're heavily depending on the forest resources for their livelihood. They have lack of material income, the consumption, low levels of education and health. There are no health facilities. They have to travel a lot for to take care of a health, and the education is like, now around 25 years I started working in this landscape. Out of 40,000 Soliga tribal community, I have seen only 5 people were graduating. Now we have at least 300 to 400 people who are graduating. That's actually good news. But this kind of challenges we have, and people still today, people earn around $1 to $2 per day in these landscapes, and they have a lot of other issues, health issues and other things that need to be taken care. And also the poverty, as I said earlier, the poverty related to the tribal communities in this landscape is like you achieve sustainable development goal or conservation goals in and taking care of the community's health and education and also the livelihood program. And unless that, it's very difficult to mitigate the poverty in this landscape. And as you all know that I'll be talking initially, sharing my experience and ATRI's experience working with non-timber-yielding forest products in this landscape. That's one of the examples I'm going to talk about. And the second one is invasive species and related issues and experience. And third one is the agriculture and agroforest related issues in the forest landscapes, in and around forest landscapes. And there's going to be a third example, and the fourth example would be like, we had honor to work with some local NGOs in Bandipur on forest restoration related issues. And these are the four example I'm going to share with you all. The NTFP non-timber-yielding forest products you will be knowing. Currently, people collect, say, easy example would be Kam Karaya and Kam Karaya and gooseberry, soap nut, and soapberry honey being harvested by the community. And they've been doing historically from so many years, actually. When human beings started living on this earth, they started depending on the water and other NTFPs resources from the forest, including the clothing and including the tuber and the medicinal plants and everything. Were quite heavily depending on this. You'll all be knowing that why are NTFPs are so important is that the initially before Wildlife Protection Act, and people used to do a clear felling, and Forest Department used to think that and not think, in fact, the Forest Department was income was coming from forest clear felling and all those things, and their substantial income was coming from that. And after Wildlife Protection Act, that the hunting and shifting cultivation and also partly the clear felling was banned. So after that, the people had to depend on non-timber yielding forest products for in this landscape or elsewhere as well. And compared to cutting trees and clear felling and all those things, the NTFP gives opportunity for people to harvest the resources sustainably, it doesn't cause so much damage to the ecosystem. It gives win-win situation, and also it helps to attain, address sustainable development goal under NTFP harvest. Because I've been working on gooseberry for quite some time, people don't go and harvest everything. It's impossible to harvest everything from the forest. Even they think they can harvest everything. So according to my study, my PhD work, there are 50% to 60% maximum harvest one can do, and rest stays in the forest for regeneration. Anyway, those are the kind of opportunity the NTFP gives. So we are like focused on NTFP and sustainable harvest and related issues for quite some time in this landscape. We closely work with the Soliga tribal community. There's a 40,000 unique tribal community in southern India, especially in Chamaranagar districts. One of the sites is the BRT Tiger Reserve. Been working in this landscape from past 27 years, and recently started working in Kaveri Wildlife Sanctuary and Malai Madheshwara Hills Wildlife Sanctuary also. Dr. Bala visited these landscapes and he is quite familiar with this. And it's a very, very unique and landscape. It's actually junction between the eastern and western Ghats Peninsula India, and Soligas live in this landscape. And they used to depend on these forest resources for up to 60, 70% in fact. And these are the non-timber yielding forest products are being harvested by the community in this landscape. Like a gooseberry, there are used to be 400 tons being harvested in this landscape, and wild honey around 15 to 20 tons from the forest. Terminalia chebula harale is one of the medicinal fruits, like being the fruits being used in case of making a tripala, tripala. And resin also being harvested by the community for a temple. There are quite a bit of temple in this landscape to worship the god, to do puja. They use this resin. And what we thought was the community used to harvest NTFPs and used to sell to outside world without value addition. And we thought that, why can't we start working on these NTFPs and add value to this with the community participation at the decentralized processing units, so that we can generate more income to the people. Initial studies clearly indicated that there was used to be a little bit over harvest of NTFPs in this landscape. We wanted to control that. In order to control that, we followed enterprise-based conservation model, where people bring their whatever the resource being harvested from the forest, being processed in this decentralized processing units, and it generate more income. And the income will go back to the community in the form of an incentive to conserve the forest. This is the idea being used in this enterprise-based conservation model. You basically use this profit to conserve the resources through community participation, and also try to reduce the harvest level in this landscape. That was the idea. And this is like an enterprise. I have a couple of examples within enterprise that initially we worked with the local NGOs, and later I started working directly with the community. There were some challenges working with other NGOs, and the working directly with the community would also have some challenges. I'll come to that a little bit later. And this is the Madama Soliga, the president. Actually, she was very hesitant, very shy. She was not participating in so many meetings because but she was very enthusiastic. I went and spoke to her, and she has become a president of the processing unit. And this is one of the processing unit getting inaugurated in Mysore Zoo. You all might be knowing is one of the famous zoo in India. There we have outlet. This is Panama again, and with the collaboration of the Forest Department and Zoo Authority of Karnataka, and Lamb Society, large scale Adivasi multipurpose society. That's societies used to help people to sell their forest resources. And with their collaboration, we started this initiative in BRLs and also in Mysore Zoo. And these are some of the products coming out from this processing unit. And this is the processing unit we started with a local NGO. And sometime, we need to build the capacity of the people before the project gets over. And then at the end of the project, when the people should take an initiative to do a business and everything. There are some challenges we had, like, the time being given for this project was not really enough. You'll get a 3 or 4 years project to work on these issues. And within these 3 4 years, you'll not be able to build the capacity of the community. You'll not be able to make them a real businessman, because it's challenging. And also, there's one of the drawbacks is sometimes, we are also not a really professional businessman. And also, you can't expect so much profit in this also, because you are making you're not the motto is not only making money out of the resource being harvested in this landscape. The larger goal is conservation, and within that you have to make a profit and enhance the livelihood of the people. So in that sense, you'll have to work on this both the issues simultaneously to achieve both the twin goals. You will have some challenges, but I would say it's not impossible. And depending upon the resource availability, and depending upon the tenure of the people, and depending upon the enthusiasm of the community, and you will be able to achieve quite a bit from these experiences. And these are decentralized processing units and outlets we have. And also the Erkanga, one of the processing units, they made 15 lakhs profit. The Canary Colony, another processing unit, made 10 lakhs profit. MMLs had made 5 lakhs profit. And these are all like, it's a beginning. And this project I received from the USAID, and I was working with the community and did all this work. And then the USAID didn't have money for the infrastructure and machineries. We are doing following a simple processing techniques and all those things. We are able to make this much progress. But we have a project from Spurti, Government of India, MSME now. And we have around 75 lakhs to build a infrastructure and bring machineries for them. We have around 3.25 crores to work to address these issues. And just we have launched this project right now. I'm sure we'll be able to do a lot more from this project. That's what I would like to say at this moment. And that's what we achieved in the small decentralized processing units that we established, 3 with very closely with the community. This one is going to be, so very important one is that in order to achieve these goals, and then in order to achieve this conservation and livelihood goals, the tenure is very important. Because the earlier days, people had didn't have a tenure to use the resources. And under the Forest Right Act, we worked very closely with the community, and around 77 Grama Sabhas have received community rights. Some of you might be knowing, under the Forest Right Act, the community will have a right to cultivate in their agriculture land. Those are all called individual rights, and the community rights that helps them to go to the forest and harvest the resources and process wherever they want, including even if they want, they can do it at the household level as well, and then sell it to outside world or tourist or somebody, and they can make more money out of that. And this is without tenure. There'll be uncertainty in going to the forest and harvesting these resources. So in that sense, the Forest Right Act give them an opportunity to make use of this right to go to the forest, and they are the kind of the owners for not only using the resources, and they have to conserve the resources in this landscape. That's the responsibility they have to take. And some of them are when they speak about Forest Right Act, they'll think that it's quite bad, and and we have to go give them a land, so much land, and then and they'll go and harvest everything. That's what they speak. It's not like that. If the people have land, they'll get it, the ownership. They have half-acre land, they will only get half-acre. They have 1 acre, they've been cultivating, they didn't have a record in it, they'll get rights on 1 acre. And if people don't have land, they never had a land, they're not going to get anything. And that's how it has been framed. Actually, under the community rights, they can go and harvest the resources they were harvesting historically. If they were not harvesting, say for example, particular species, they would like to do it now under Forest Right Act. That's not possible. That's impossible. In that sense, it's actually, I feel it's safe and nice, and it gives opportunity for people to use the resources sustainably. And also it gives them a responsibility to conserve, not only just using. So in that sense, the 3.1 high, section 3.1 high clearly indicates that they have to conserve the resources. And this was helpful for us to, and also for the community to get their rights and work on these issues. And it was important. That's what I feel. And this is what I wanted to share with you all, related to non-timber-yielding forest products, sustainable use, and enterprise-based conservation model, and things like that. The idea behind that, the tenure was important, and also working with the local NGOs, you have to be careful. Sometimes what kind of NGOs these are, and they should be able to hand over this the resources, whatever it is, to the community at the end of the project. If people don't want to hand over it, and there'll be a loss. And also the people should think, local people should think, and they should feel comfortable working with these type of NGOs. And that's going to be very crucial, according to me, based on my experience from so many years. This is the story I wanted to tell you all about non-timber yielding forest products. Please note down some questions if you want related to this, and we'll discuss about that later. And then I would like to move on to weeds to wealth concept. This, Dr. Bala clearly indicated that been working on these issues for quite some time. A lot of people contributed to this project, not only me, like Dr. Arvind Madhyastha, one of my colleagues, and Professor Umashankar. They all started, actually I joined them to work on these issues, and now we took it forward, that's it. And you all might be knowing that Lantana camera, that's the invasive species Lantana camera, we've been working for quite some time, more than around 17 years. And this is a deadly invasive species, you all might be knowing. And it suppresses biodiversity, and the regeneration of wild species and native species have declined drastically across the landscape because of the invasive species, because of its aggressive growth. And livestock in the forest, including wildlife, herbivores, as even elephant lava challenge us in walking inside the Lantana, and they'll have a difficulty in getting the grazing, fodder and everything. And because of this, you also have noticed maybe the human wildlife conflict is also increasing compared to past days because of this invasive species. There's a lack of fodder available for wildlife, and also the people are not really comfortable because they all kind of enjoyed the forest, and then not only the resource, the aesthetically, historically. Say for example, when I was in Bandipur, I was talking to local community. I asked them, why you want to conserve the forest? What is the motive behind, objective behind it? And what do you think? That's a question I kind of, asking them during the discussion. And they said that, we live next to this forest, and we are inside the forest, and the forest should be healthy and should look beautiful. That's what we would like to. Even if you don't get anything, if it is looking beautiful, that gives so much pleasure and happiness to us. That's what they say. And this Lantana is creating a lot of problem in this landscape. And as you all know that the Lantana population is increasing from so many years. It started around 250 years back, 300 years back, and now the population is increased quite intensively in this landscape. One of the studies I would like to share with you all is thanks to Dr. Ankila Iremat, one of my colleagues in A3, and I myself and Dr. K.S. Murali right now is Executive Director at MSSRF. And we started this work 20 years back in BRT Tiger Reserve. And we made a grids by 2 kilometer by 2 kilometer. I laid the plots in the middle of each and every grids. And I found the Lantana density at that time was only 4%. And the native flora was 96% during 1997. This is what I did a survey, did a grid and everything. And then this is what the data we have collected. And 2008, almost 10 years after that, one of our PhD students revisited my plots and did a survey again, and then found out on 34% of Lantana. It was increased from 4% to 34%. And native species declined from 96% to 66% in 2008. And in 2018, after 10 years, very recent data is this. And then again, 2-3 our interns, very dedicated interns, that's Arvind and again Bala, Bharat Sundaram involved. I was also involved, Ankila Iramat involved. And we all did a survey again. And now we found out that the Lantana population is increased from 4 to 34%. Now it is 47%. What that indicate? The 50% of the forest is full of Lantana in this landscape. You can imagine the impact of it. And you can see the impact here. 53% native flora has declined actually in this landscape. Almost 50% has gone. So in that sense, you can imagine the impact being created by the Lantana camera in this landscape. And also the story is same in other landscape as well, in Bandipur, in MMLs, in Madhya Pradesh, and even in Eastern Malaya, some of the landscapes are facing this problem. So in that sense, it's a huge kind of the problem. And the Lantana, I was also collaborating with the forest department. I was also collaborating with the forest department on they removed the Lantana with using CR Babu technique. That's cut root stock method, removing the Lantana using cut root stock method. And they asked us to do some experiment where they did Lantana removal. We did some study in this. This is just 2 years data we have collected, and where they have Lantana uprooted within Lantana. And Lantana uprooted places, we saw more saplings coming and more seedlings coming, and the grass cover is started encountering. They started coming. The grass cover essentially increased. In that sense, when you go and remove the Lantana using CR Babu technique, and then you would see some improvement. So in that sense, removing Lantana in this landscape is going to be important, and it contributes to the biodiversity and increase the native species, their regeneration and the growth. And even the animal encounter rate is also relatively high where the Lantana was removed. This is what we found. In that sense, this is the story about Lantana impact, and when you remove, what happens to the landscape. That is what I shared, 2 slides. And apart from this, what we also did was, as Dr. Bala indicated, and around 17 years back, we started working on Lantana and then creating a livelihood out of Lantana. Not only, you can't say that people go and remove Lantana, it's creating a problem. How would they do it? They have to invest their time and energy and effort. And it's not going to happen unless if you create livelihood opportunity from that. And initially, what they were using, the community, local people used to use bamboo to make baskets. And the bamboo is being used by local people for their food, and they harvest bamboo shoots, they make curry. And also at the same time, a lot of herbivores love bamboo, right? And recently, we also have in this landscape, there's a mass flowering, and people have started harvesting bamboo rice as well, the paddy like a kind of thing. And then we make rice out of bamboo, fruits, right? This is, anyway, this the bamboo was being harvested by the community to make use of it for making furniture, bags, baskets, and other things. And we wanted to replace the Lantana, the bamboo with Lantana. So we started encouraging community to make baskets out of Lantana instead of bamboo. And we started this around 17 years back. And then it was not picking up. It was looking a little ugly. And then it was quite heavy. People were not able to handle So in that sense, we encouraged them to make it a little bit fancier, and this is how it was looking like that. And then after that, it was not getting sold in a large scale, and people are not making really a lot of money out of that. And then we started encourage them to make furnitures out of that. But at that time, we didn't know how to bend lantana. This technology we borrowed from Anil Joshi near Dehradun, and people used to work on lantana furnitures there. And basically, we encouraged our people to go and learn lantana furniture making in this land from Dehradun, and they got back and started doing it. And a couple of interns helped us to from France. We had a couple of interns, and they taught us how to bend lantana. Okay, and then that's how the products look like this now. Look like exactly like a cairn furnitures. These are the furnitures are being made out of lantana, and this life-size elephants also being made out of lantana with collaboration of Shola Trust in Gudlur and also Elephant Family from UK. And now we have transported around 350 life-size elephants to UK. Okay, and they're using those things, those elephants to conservation awareness program in the entire world. We are planning to, because of the COVID, we are not able to make much progress. After certainly next year, near future, we'll be doing quite. We have a very bigger plan on this, creating a conservation awareness program and across the globe. At the same time, generate income, and then income will flow back to India to conserve biodiversity and restore lantana degraded places in this landscape. That is what we have been planning. This is how the lantana. These are the lantana life-size elephants. That's how they look like that, and there are 350 elephants in UK already. And these are some of the furnitures made out of lantana. Our director of A3 went to had on a meeting. They had a visit to Obirai's hotel, and he found some furnitures. They were looking like this, and they asked our artisans to make furniture like this. They did exactly the same. This looks like a lantana. If you see the background, this room where I am sitting is an office. This made out of lantana. Actually, you can see this office. And this the lantana table, chair, and then these are some of the small these things made out of lantana. All these are being made. Some of these small things like a chair, table, and then bookshelves, and also the plant holders, and all those things are also made out of lantana. These are the products coming out. What happened was like we have 3 lantana craft centers in MMLs, and we have 20 master craftsmen, and actually they go and teach people and train more people to make lantana furnitures. And 400 people trained on site in MMLs. 40% of them are women. 600 people are trained outside MMLs. Our artisans not only earning money from lantana crafts making, apart from that, they also go and teach other people and train them, and they also get honorarium, and that's also one of the income sources for them. Around 130 households income has increased 6 times. From past 15 years, people were able to earn around 1.2 crores out of lantana. Okay, and we are just facilitating, and the money doesn't come to A3, and they take a order. We help them to get orders, and then they manufacture and then give it to the customers directly, and they have a bank accounts, dedicated bank account. Money goes to the respective bank accounts, and they share the money between the harvesters, stick collectors, and artisans, and everybody. This is how it's been actually planned. And this project got social impact award last year. I have a small video of that. I'll show you that later. And not only making lantana furniture would solve all the problems, because you have lots of tons of lantana, and then removing lantana through furniture making make so much dent. And it's important to explore possibility of creating other things out of lantana. and high value products of Lantana, so that these are all in the preliminary stage and the experimental stage. We need to explore them and then further, and we have to do things. But right now we are producing kind of, we tested, and you can produce paper out of Lantana, and also this Lantana creates a prototype also developed with the Lantana. This is the percentage split. You can take a look at this also. And these are some of the papers made out of Lantana. And also recently we are collaborating with Ipriti. This is one of my colleagues, Sandeep, and we made a Lantana particle boards. And the particle boards looks quite strengthy and so strong, because the Lantana is from, you all know, from the Verbenaceae teak family, the teak family. So it's quite strong. So these are the products we are exploring. We also tested some Lantana samples in Pune research lab. So we understood that some of them are very helpful, and you can make insecticide and pesticides out of it, and mosquito repellent property it has. And if you explore all these things, we can make a sustainable business model out of Lantana. You remove Lantana from the forest and add value to it and create a livelihood opportunity for local people. At the same time, you can conserve the biodiversity and enhance the livelihood of the people. At the same time, you can get rid of Lantana. And these are, there's a lot of ideas, and a lot of people have to come on the stage to work on this, come together to focus on these issues. But I'm sure we'll be able to achieve quite a bit within next 5-10 years. That's what I feel. And also the idea is, these are the Lantana distributed area where artisans used to go and harvest Lantana. And now what we understood is, it's very good thing. Initially the Lantana are available very close to their villages, and now they have to travel 6 to 7 kilometers to get a right stick for their furnitures. What that indicates is that the people played a significant role in terms of reducing Lantana in this landscape. This is in MMLs. We have not done this work in BRT and other places. This is an example I'm sharing with you all from MMLs. And after removing Lantana, we are thinking about restoring this place with a native species. And recently we had a discussion with the forest department. They are also excited about this experiment, and we are planning to do this experiment in a bit large scale and remove Lantana and try to see what you can do to the landscape. What we studies, our research results also indicated that where you have Lantana or no regeneration, where you don't have Lantana, there's a overgrazing, because all the animals are going and grazing everything. So in that sense, there's a problem where unless you address this issue in a large scale, removing Lantana in a large scale, will not be able to make a dent. In that sense, we are removing Lantana and try to restore this place with native species and also the edible grass species. And it might make a dent, and we can make a difference for the landscape. That's what we are hoping. And this work we are undertaking recently with a collaboration of WWF India and NCBS and ATRI and also Shola Trust. This is all about Lantana experience. So one is NTFP and another one is agroforestry and Lantana. And third one, I'm going to speak to you all about agroforestry and unrelated interventions. Is that all right, Dr. Bala? It's fine. Hope we have enough time.
Yeah, sir.
Okay. Anyway, this the Soliga tribal community and other people who lived in the forest landscape actually cultivate in the forest landscapes for quite some time. They used to do shifting cultivation and hunting before 1972 Wildlife Protection Act. After that, they started doing settled agriculture. And then in the settled agriculture, they cultivate and they make use of their agriculture, that's 1 to 2 acre of land maximum in this landscape. they actually cultivate traditional crops. And restoring this place and working very closely with the community on agriculture and agroforestry related issues is very important, because because they are cultivating in the core areas and the fringes of forest landscape. So if they start using insecticide and pesticide, inorganic compost and everything, what happens to the biodiversity? It's very dangerous for pollinators, and even the frogs, dung beetle, everything, all microflora and fauna will get affected. Not only that, even the pollinators will get affected, honeybees and the bats and things like that. The core area, core forest area and the buffer zone and the agriculture fringe and mainstream agriculture. What happens? Because of the forest, we have rain, we have oxygen and everything. It's important to conserve the forest. At the same time, these ecosystem services need to be sustained and need to be conserved. In that sense, conserving the forest landscape is going to have the positive impact on buffer zone and also the fringe agriculture and mainstream agriculture, right? Because it brings more water and brings rain and everything, right? So, and also the pollinators move from one place to another place across this landscape. Even the honeybees, Apis dorsata in this case, just one of the examples I'm giving, they travel around 100 kilometers. Imagine there's a forest core area and they travel 100 kilometers, they cut across all this landscape. If you maintain the health of this ecosystem, and then the other pollinators will get affected. In that sense, they are interlinked, and the health is interlinked. Their association is all connected. In that sense, it's very important to conserve the agriculture lands and make it sustainable in this landscape. And I was doing some research on this, and what is the diversity of seeds they have in this landscape. It was kind of amazing to me. They have cultivating in a small agriculture land, like half acre to 1 acre or 2 acre maximum, and they had around 152 varieties of crops being grown in a very, very small scale. Actually, that actually brings more the nutritional security for them, according to this thing, right? So in that sense, the wild food plant and conserving this indigenous varieties of plants, and in order to achieve the nutritional security of the people is going to be very, very important. At the same time, one of my colleagues, Dr. Arish, did a research on this, did his PhD work on this. According to his study, around 124 wild food plants are being used by the tribal community in this landscape. And some of them are coming from agriculture land, and some of them are coming from forest landscape, and some of them are coming from wastelands. So in that sense, it's important to give attention to this. And when you do ecotourism, I know people who are enthusiastic to do some ecotourism activities, and this is the insight I'm going to share with you all. And you go to the jungle lodges and the tourist places, and they will serve you like the pizza also, right? And also that all fast food they will serve you. And when you get to visit these remote places and to visit the biodiversity hotspots or something like that, and those kind of of the ecotourism, what if you think, you should think about encouraging people to taste and experience native food, and that would can bring income to local people. At the same time, healthy food, and people can experience local food. They'll always eat all this fast food in the cities. Why should they come to and visit this place, and still they should eat this kind of a food? And this, you think about these things as well, is a very important thing. I have a small video on that. If possible, I'll show you. So that's the experience related to agroforest related issues. And you can also add value to it. Recently, I do not have a slide. I wish I could have incorporated. Recently, I started working on a coffee, the organic coffee. The people just started cultivating coffee. This is a high time to work with them in order to continue and encourage them to use organic fertilizers and cultivate coffee organically, so that that brings more money to them. At the same time, they can conserve the biodiversity in the landscape. That's how you should be involving community in these landscapes. That's what I feel. And there's a third example I shared with you all. And this is the fourth one, the restoration related the program that we did in Bandipur with a local NGOs called Junglescapes. There's a gentleman called Ramesh, Ramesh, and also Anand, and also Satish. These three people I was very closely working with, and the restoration program also, you can create opportunity for to create a livelihood for the local people. At the same time, you can conserve the biodiversity and restore the biodiversity. That's what I feel. In the Lokere is the place where it is close to Bandipur. Actually, the Junglescape was working in this landscape, and they invited me to get involved in this project, and where they started removing Lantana. Started removing Lantana with community participation. At the same time, we restored this place with a community participation. This is a Lokere reserve forest attached to the Bandipur. It's a buffer zone, actually. This is where we did. And under area we restored was like, around 500, 900 hectares. There are a lot of programs involved in this, removing Lantana. That's one of the activities, and planting program, another activity, and conservation of the water, and making water percolation tanks. Those are the activities that's being done by only Junglescape. I was not involved in that. Only restoration program I was involved. We planted around 80,000 seedlings with community participation, with a 48 different species. And these species were selected by the people. And also we encouraged local people to grow seedlings for this forest, for the planting purpose. So that from the nurseries, from when they're growing seedlings, they are also earn money. And while planting also, they would earn money. And while protecting and monitoring also, it contributes. In that sense, the people involved in each and every stage, and also at the same time, they get a livelihood opportunity in each and every stage. At the same time, their biodiversity getting conserved. And these are the conservation and also livelihood programs we had with a community in Lokere forest landscapes in Bandipur. Water conservation strategy, community participation was the key. And this is how this, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of changes, but the photo was taken in a different season, but the same landscape, but you would see a lot of change in this landscape, I would say. So 900 hectare restored, survival rate, 40% was the survival rate. We checked the survival rate after 3 years. So restoration and the forest looks incredibly great now. And community also participated in this program quite well, because they stopped grazing and they started grazing other places, where the forest department had a plantation. Going and taking their livestock to their plantation was not impact. And also they started collecting fuel, because that in the plantation the trees were not trimmed properly. We encourage them to go and trim the tree. At the same time, they'll get a fuel wood out of that. Those are the innovative techniques being discussed and proved to people. So that's how. And then we kind of started seeing a lot of animals visiting this place as well. And this received a GE Best Project Award in and these are the four enterprise-based conservation models, I wanted to share with you all. And there are some challenges, definitely, and involving community in all these activities. And if you're not generating substantial income, it won't make a difference. And when the people will drop. And when you're creating a more opportunity for them, and if you're creating a more livelihood opportunities, and is being contributing to generate more income, and then people would you will see a lot more participation in the community. That's what I would like to say. And then when talking about the enterprise only, the income generation activity, and all those things so far. I also would like to quickly touch upon what kind of a challenges you will have when you start using the resources, and some scenarios you'll end up in using or extracting the resources, and some of the scenarios you can conserve the forest and use the resources sustainably. I would like to just throw three examples again on conservation aspect. One of the at the species level, people were harvesting quite a bit of amla, quite a bit of dupa, and that's resin harvest, and also honey. And what are the learnings, research results from these experiences? I would like to just share. And the lantana is creating some problem, and then is having this thing, and then we are trying to test what kind of impact the gooseberry trees are having. The way in which the people are harvesting around 300 to 400 tons fruits from the forest is one thing. At the same time, the lantana and other problems are also there, which indicators are playing a major role in terms of shaping this particular species. And those are the study being carried out. And then according to our studies, like gooseberry, within gooseberry there are two species, Philanthus emblica, this one, and the Philanthus indofishery, the top, the line. So what this indicates is that this color is the whatever, the pink or red or whatever. This color, this is close to 1. That what it indicates that it's close to 1 means this population is doing well, it's healthy. This is far from 1, it's minus. That means that this population is not doing well. And the green one, this Philanthus emblica, the percentage of harvest is only 40. But the population is not doing well. And the percentage of harvest is very high, up to 70%. But this species is doing good. What did clearly indicated that through our studies that here the lantana is playing a major role, because this is high altitude, more moisture, more lantana. That's where the regeneration got affected. Here, low, elevation, not much moisture, not much lantana, but the harvest level was high. But still, the species made a good health. So in that sense, it's not really what clearly indicated that, instead of, I don't want to confuse you people, but what clearly it indicated is that the harvest is not playing a role, is something else played a role. What is that? The lantana played a role. The lantana didn't encourage the species to grow. Even if you throw a lot of lantana, gooseberry into the forest, it doesn't grow because of the lantana. So it's not most of the time we speak, the people are impacting the tree, people are destroying the forest and all. But in this case, the lantana is having a more impact than harvest. That is what I would like to share with you all. That's it. And then here you can clearly see that the mortality of the native species has increased because of the lantana. Where you have more lantana, you have more mortality. So where you have less lantana, less mortality. In that sense, the lantana played a role. That's what I would like to say. The other problem with the gooseberry was the parasite called Texellus tomentosa. This parasite feed on the tree, hemiparasite. Because of the parasite, according to my study, around 40% of the trees were killed. That has created a more problem than the harvest. That's what I would like to say at this moment. In case of gooseberry. In case of Boswellia serrata, resin being harvested from these trees. One of our PhD students, Dr. Soumya Kori, submitted a thesis on this. These are from our PhD work. This is how people harvest resin from the tree, and the pure resin, and then soil mixed resin, dead wood resin. This is how the different quality of resin being harvested by the community to get their money, sell, and these are the price. I'm not going in deep because of the lack of time, but what I clearly indicate that I'm not romanticizing in the earlier slide. The harvest didn't have any problem. The lantana had a more problem. Here, what you can see is that the harvest have a problem. where in the landscape like MMLs, Malay Madheshwara Hills, you all might be knowing, Veerappan used to live in this landscape, and it's a huge temple. The Malay Madheshwara temple is being, attracted by both pilgrims from Karnataka and also Tamil Nadu. There are a lot more visitors and a lot more demand, and people harvest a lot more resin, and because of that, the population is declining, and it's having an impact on population. Here, the impact is there from the harvest. And the other two landscapes like a BRT Tiger Reserve, MML's Wildlife Sanctuary, the harvest level was quite low, and the population is not doing, is doing quite better compared to this MML's landscape. What I would like to say is that where you have a lot of harvest, resin harvest, is having a problem on the population of species. This is what you have to think about it when you're using natural resources from the landscapes. And the third example is honey, the Apis dorsata, the rock bee. We are monitoring from past 25 years, in fact, and the population is fluctuating quite a bit, but declining slightly recent days. And I was very curious to know what are the reasons and all those things. And then one of the things what I noticed was, 2005, there was a ban on harvest of NTFPs. And then I was monitoring all this honeybee population, and these population were kind of fluctuating. In 2005, there was a ban, and after ban, I thought the population might go up, correct? So what do you all think? After a ban, the population might go up, right? So it didn't happen. So you would see the declining trend further. So that clearly indicate that the harvest is not playing a role. There's something else would be playing a stronger role. And I was thinking like, say these bees are migrate up to 100 kilometers, and forest landscape to agricultural landscape and cityscapes. One of my PhD students is working on this topic right now, and we are waiting for the results. But what I kind of have some results indicating that when these bees migrate to agricultural land, people use a lot of insecticide and pesticide. That will have a larger impact on bee population. Again, when they visit cities and people are scared of honeybees, and they started spraying more insecticide and pesticide to the bees, and they kill them. That's also contributing to that. So we are kind of testing this, and we have some preliminary result on this from this research. That's all I wanted to share with you all. I would so sorry, I'm 10:30 to 11:30. I don't know how much time we have for a discussion.
Siddappa, we can have maybe 10 minutes of discussion, because there are many questions are there.
Oh, sure. No problem. I'm sorry, I was a little bit.
No. Absolutely. It's a wonderful 25 years of stories. Very interesting to listen.
Thank you very much. Feel free to ask any questions. No problem. I'm happy to answer.
Can stop sharing. Okay.
So one of the
Shilpa,
yeah.
Go ahead, Shilpa, please.
Yeah. So one of the question is how much Lantana affects the soil, the soil profile, and is it affects the soil microflora or fauna? Does it affect microflora or fauna? One of the questions.
That's a great question. Actually, we have not done so much research on that, unfortunately. But the Lantana is actually contribute to the conserving soil and water erosion to some extent, and also the microorganisms. The level is also quite high in some cases, and some cases we have seen little less. But we have to do some more research on this actually. That's one thing, and also it's actually, I won't say that this completely have a negative impact on biodiversity. I would say this 90% is having a problem. The another 10% is having an advantage. like some of the small fauna, like jungle fowl population in this landscape where I'm working have increased quite significantly because they can hide and they can have get enough food under lantana, like lantana seeds are being eaten by the jungle fowls, and the barking deer population has increased, and the wild bird population has increased. And the birds are, some frugivore birds enjoy fruits, but these are some advantages as well. But when you compare, the disadvantages is more. And there are some studies indicated that even the tiger, the population is declining, and they started moving where the lantana population is low. There are some studies have indicated that. And the wild life population is also the larger herbivore population, like an elephant and the gar and the spotted deer, sambar deer, and their population is getting affected. And these are some of the advantages and disadvantages from lantana. Thank you. Next question.
Yeah. So Mr. Prem Kumar is asking, what plant parts of lantana are being used for making furniture?
Usually the thick one, the very sturdy one, and currently we don't use. It's a primary branch, I would say. The secondary and tertiary branches are not being used right now, and you can think about doing some small articles also out of that, but not in a large scale. That's what I would like to say. And for furniture, we use bigger sticks. And for an elephant, we use smaller sticks compared to furnitures. In fact, in that sense, the diversity of usage of sticks will help and will be helpful.
So everybody is very happy with the presentation, and they are saying great presentation, excellent work, and all that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it has been a very nice presentation for all of us to hear this. Other than that, I could ask participants if they want to ask questions personally, they can raise their hand and then I can unmute them. Is there anybody who wanted to ask a question?
I have posted a link to Dr. Siddappa's website, and I also shared his email here. If anybody want to contact him, feel free.
Yes, Dr. Bala, that will be wonderful.
Another question, there's another question which has just popped up. Which part of lantana is toxic?
Usually the entire plant, especially the leaves, has some allelopathic character, actually. That's one of the reasons native species have hard time to grow under the lantana. So it's like some of the ficus species we have heard and documented that allelopathic character that will have. The lantana has the same property. And also the one more reason is it like a very thick, like a umbrella. It doesn't penetrate sunlight to seedlings. And I've seen so many seedlings grow. That's not a problem. When the seedlings would grow, and I've seen quite a bit of regeneration, but they don't reach to the saplings or seedlings stage. After 2 or 3 years, they will die because lack of sunlight under lantana is also one of the main reasons.
Okay. In the same question, the person is saying that during the childhood, we used to eat those fruits. So that is what we should know, that it was toxic, and we never knew that earlier.
The fruits are not actually.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of birds consume. It's very tasty. Please enjoy and make sure after eating, just crush and swallow, and you don't contribute for regeneration. Okay, right. If you eat only the pulp and throw the seed again, you will contribute again for a regeneration of lantana. Okay, please eat as much as possible ripened fruits. I also do the same when I go to the forest.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Anuj Bandral has one question. Should we take it, Karthik?
Please go ahead, please.
Anuj, can you ask a question? We have unmuted you.
Yes, Anuj.
Anuj, you can ask a question.
Ankush, or we can go ahead with the Ankush question.
Sir, first of all, Dr. Siddappa, sir, thank you very much. This is a wonderful presentation, and the Lantana part is very interesting because in our region in Jammu and Kashmir, the Lantana population, Lantana is growing rapidly, and also result many cattle to died, and we also have cattle, and the calf, one of our calf is also died due to the reason of this Lantana. And sir, I have to know how to prevent these cattle in this Lantana to prevent the growth. One of the any sprays are there to prevent the growth is, and also how means sometimes the cattle eats the Lantana, and how to prevent from cattle to die from this Lantana.
Yeah, Hanush, that's a great question. Thank you very much. So you can the forest department in Karnataka, they are using cut root stock method. That's like if you Google, you can get it. The C.R. Babu technique, cut root stock method. It's called. If you could follow that, you will be able to control Lantana from vegetative growth. Okay. That's one thing. And secondly, after removing Lantana, you have to keep track of that landscape for 2-3 years. There'll be small, maybe, if you invest 10 hours to remove Lantana first year, and the second year you have to invest 2 hours. And the third year you can invest 1 hour, something like that. So all the new seedlings, you have to pull them out. So if you start doing that, you will be able to control. And what happens is that if there is an agricultural land or not really a forest, and the illegal to have forest fire in the forest, don't do that. Don't get into problem from the forest department. If it is agricultural land or wasteland, what you can do is, after removing Lantana using cut root stock method, try to do a litter fire. Okay, because the Lantana seeds will be, the seed bank will have millions of seeds from 0 to 5 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 0 to 2 centimeter. And these seeds are very, very soft and very sensitive to fire. When you burn up to 2 centimeter, it will easily burn and kill all the seeds. So next year you would see very limited seedlings coming from this land. So in that sense, you can control, but don't do this in the forest. And if you have to take a permission from the forest department, so otherwise you'll have problem. But you can control like this. And when you allow cattle for grazing, they will take 1 or 2 bunches of leaves, something like that, once in a while, 10 minutes once, or half an hour once, a bite of Lantana. They most of the time they'll eat other things, grass and other things. They don't completely graze on Lantana. I have not seen. If that is the case, so they'll not have much impact. The cattle will not have so much problem. You don't need to worry. But don't take your cattle every time to where Lantana is too much, there is no grass. Okay, try to avoid that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ankush, and thanks, Siddappa, for your taking your whole forenoon for us to spend time with us. And in spite of you have some issues at home, you made to travel 150 kilometers, and for sharing your Lantana stories with us. Thank you so much. And if any of our participants, if you want to get Lantana furniture, please write to Siddappa. We'll be happy to connect you with the folks who are selling. So, it would be great help from our side to support these activities. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you, Siddappa. Thank you. I have some announcement for the participants.
Personally, I would like to thank Dr. Bala and Shilpa. Thanks a lot for inviting me. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Siddappa. So, participant, today we have only one session, and the next session is free. And so we'll meet tomorrow. Tomorrow, our speaker is in France right now, so she cannot do at 10:30. She will be doing at 9:30. Tentatively, she said she will be doing at 9:30. So tomorrow, we will start our session at 9:30. Please put in your group also tomorrow our session will be at 9:30 a.m. in the morning. In case if there is any change or anything, the capacity email will, through that email, we will let you know if there is any change in the schedule. Because just while I was talking, just 2 minutes before, she just sent a mail saying that, it would be difficult for her to come at 10:30 Indian Standard Time. So she will be doing at 9:30. Tentatively, she said, in case if there is any change, we will communicate to you. So tomorrow session will be 9:30 and the next session will be usual at 12 to 1. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Shilpa, we can close the session.
Thank
Bye.
you. Yeah.